Hello everyone. On April 12th, we are going to have a Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, the first after 13 years. The last one was in 2009, which we are going to just take a peek at. And let's try to delineate what this can mean for the world. Traditionally, when I see this in a karmic chart, in someone's chart, I'm very, very happy for this conjunction, simply because there are two very, very beneficial planets meeting up. Neptune is love, universal love, transcendence, esoteric knowledge, insight, dreams, premonitions. And Jupiter enlarges everything it touches. Jupiter is the largest planet in the solar system, and it denotes hope and expansion and all sorts of good things. Usually when you look at the chart and you see where Jupiter is, which house Jupiter is, that sphere of life is quite successful simply because you trust yourself, because you believe in what you are doing. Jupiter is not a money planet, not a money-making planet. And still, whenever you have Jupiter in a nice place, that sphere of life can be very, very successful. So it brings success, expansion, hope, trust in yourself, trust in the things that everything is going to be okay. And so when these two meet, these two planets meet, you're hoping for something that is truly beautiful, like the enlargement of hope in transcendental knowledge, or I don't know. So it's like you can vary this. Here's the rub. Neptune is a transcendental planet. You can't see it by the naked eye. So it is beyond human understanding and human existence. And when you look at Neptune, very often those astrologers who work with mundane energies, those we call mundane astrologers, have a very, very bad take on Neptune. They say that this, Neptune suggests all sorts of substance abuse, alcoholism, drug abuse, deception, pink fog, all sorts of things. And they are also right. And the reason why is very simple. It's a transcendental planet. It's not a 3D energy pattern. It's beyond it. And unless you go up there and experience the things of the higher dimensional potentials, all you can do is drag it down here into this mud of the third dimension, which I love, by the way, so don't get me wrong, but higher dimensions above anything above the fourth are what we call the light dimensions. So they are filled with light. And of course, our dimension is filled with darkness as well. Actually, the third dimension is where light and dark are fighting with each other. You can take a look around the world and you can see that this is happening. So first of all, you can experience this quite well, this Jupiter-Neptune conjunction in your own energy pattern. If you have things around 23, 24 degrees, between 23 and 25 degrees, you can benefit from this conjunction, especially those with water and earth signs. But let's see what it suggests for the world. And we are going to look at the exact time when this conjunction becomes truly exact. It's for London on April 12th at 1444. And before we are going to look at the highlights of this chart, I would like you to take a look at the previous one, which was on May 27th. And it was not just the Jupiter-Neptune conjunctions. That's why it's quite tricky to delineate it, because if you had a triple conjunction within a quarter of a degree, so it's really, really tight, Chiron, Jupiter, Neptune. And by itself, Chiron Jupiter is always about realizing karmic wounds and turning them into gold. But the triple conjunction, how to delineate it, is always a little bit tricky, because you have then three energy patterns merging. And I only found one world event linked to this date, to the exact date, which was the South African recession that just began on that day. And this was the first after 17 years. Now, if you look around, you see recession coming. If you look around what's happening, it's really as if nerds or cretins are governing the whole world. I mean, the world leaders are completely out of their mind. Again, I would like to state that I hate wars. No form of war is acceptable for me, but it is not what it is, especially those who are watching this video from not from Europe, but from the United States. No, Zelensky is not a war hero. No, Putin is not the bad guy. It's more than that. Okay, look behind the news, try to research it, see what Zelensky did 2 years ago, a year ago. Okay, see what happened in the Donbas region, how many Russians were killed over the years. This is even the UN has had a meeting over this, so you can research the facts. It's not what mainstream media wants us to show. And my heart goes out for those who are suffering from the war. But this is a new world order that they are trying to create. And Russia is the last large nation state in the world. So it's really the globalists against nation states. That is what's happening. And I can only hope that with this conjunction, there's going to be some sort of ceasefire or some sort of agreement. I don't really think it's going to happen. I think there's a chance that nothing will happen in the world at large utilizing this energy, unfortunately, but it would be nice if we could. Now let's take a look at the London chart. You will see that the moon is energetic. It's at the very last degree of Leo, ready to enter Virgo. And of course, this happens every 27.5 days. So this is not something that we should be very much interested in. But the fact that there's a space-time moment, the exactness of the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. And at that particular moment, the moon is energetic in London because, for instance, in Budapest, it's already at 0 degrees Virgo, but it doesn't matter because this is what's happening. The moon has a 31 minutes of an arc diameter. So it's half a degree in diameter. And whenever you have a sign cusp, okay, this is what happens. My head is going to be the moon now. So the moon is coming up to the cusp, reaching the cusp. Here we are between two signs, and then the moon is leaving the cusp. And this is exactly the moment we are having here. And the message means that in this moment in time, let's leave behind anything that is Leo, trying to be the leader, trying to be the usurper, the emperor, the ruler, and move towards service to mankind, service to your own nation, to your own people. That is what it's suggesting. Another thing is that the nodal axis is very close to the ICMC angle. Accept your destiny and learn from your karmic baggages. Let's put it this way. There's a very tight Mars-Juno conjunction. In the past couple of days, you have actually weeks, you had a Saturn-Mars conjunction. For a while, Saturn was blocking Mars, and now it is backing it up. There's also an Astrea-Venus conjunction. I didn't want to put another circle here, but you can see that this is a separating conjunction now. But this was again very important in the past couple of days. Here you have the Jupiter-Neptune, and then you have a triple conjunction involving a very tight Sun-Pallas Athena wisdom. So there should be some wisdom in this warlike situation. But of course, the Sun-Aries conjunction is about highlighting, illuminating what is falling apart in the world, drastically altered outward circumstances. So these are the highlights for the London chart. If you want to see what is happening, you just deduct or add the hours to this time, depending on where you want to look at the chart. The moon will slightly be different in everywhere. So here you have a complex planetary picture at 23, 24 degrees. It's very interesting because in the Hungarian chart, you had it exactly on the ascendant, descendant angle. So we had a number of more configurations. The most important configurations in this chart is, of course, the karmic cage involving the nodal axis and Saturn. Saturn is the last installment of these karmic cages that occurred in the last couple of weeks, really, last 2 weeks. We had a number of celestial objects squaring the nodal axis. Whenever you have this, it is quite important simply because the South Node is what you're bringing into this life as your survival kit, and the North Node is what you've chosen in this life for your destiny. And so it's really common destiny, and you spend the last half of your life really doing your karma, recreating the mistakes or the good stuff, or just either enjoying or suffering from it. And it takes some time before you realize that this is not it. This is not what you want to do. You want to move towards your destiny, what you have chosen for this life. But when you have a karmic cage in your chart, this may come earlier. So this reckoning, this moment of reckoning may come earlier, because with the squares you have a daily impact of high energy impact. But I always say that squares are very disruptive because on a daily basis you meet them, and they're always telling you what you're doing wrong, or especially cardinal squares are fighter squares. This is how I call them. But this is, of course, a fixed T-square, a fixed karmic cage. So here the change comes slowly, and Saturn is always bringing the reckoning of where the boundaries and borderlines and obstacles are. So that's the space-time moment. And you also have a fixed little engine involving the Saturn South Node square, the Saturn Sun sextile, which is also Saturn Pallas Athena and Saturn Aries sextile. So here Saturn gives you a backbone to your achievements or what you're striving for, and you have an exact quincunx. So actually the Sun is highlighting the South Node. And you have a mini trapeze. This is again a configuration that we met many times over the past couple of weeks. Here the square is between Saturn and the North Node. That's the portion, that's the base for the trapeze. Trapezes are always stages that you would like to step up to, and you would like to tell what you know, or you want to share your knowledge or your thoughts or your talents with the world at large. So here we have a fixed square as the base, so it's difficult. The inner sextiles provide you the potential to know that there are potentials: Saturn, Sun, and North Node, Jupiter, Neptune. And then the sides are semi-sextiles, so they're quite easy to step up. It's a shallow. It's really like just I don't know, like a step. It's not really a true stage. And then the top is also semi-sextile, involving our daylight luminary and the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. So this is the interesting portion of it. And then you have the following transcendental celestial objects. Again, it is color-coded, and I included the moon here, which is rising on the London chart. So it's quite revealing that you need to have insight and you need to understand what's going on. And here you have magenta is, these are asteroids. Blue is always centaurs, and the red ones are stars, fixed stars. And here's what we have. On the moon, you have Regulus. So on the ascendant, really, Regulus is rising. So it's the alpha star of Leo, the celestial Leo, denoting very, very strong ruling abilities. On Saturn, you have two big stars, Solar Sud, which is Beta Aquarius, and then Algadi, which is the Alpha, is it Alpha or Beta? I never know, Capricorn. Solar Sud is luckiest of the luckiest, so it's a very lucky star. It denotes, it gives you luck and potentials. And Deneb Algadi is steadiness, strength, endurance, the potential to be there always and to do what's right. And this is combined with Saturn. It's quite nice. On Jupiter, you have an asteroid, a centaur, and a fixed star. Markham is still there. This is Alpha Pegasus, so ideas and bright thoughts coming out of your head. Zeus, of course, is Zeus. This is an asteroid, so the chief god of the Greeks. And Okiro, in Greek myths, she is the daughter of Chariklo and Chiron. She inherits both parents' special traits and talents. She's a seer and an oracle, but she's a little girl, a girl centaur, and she doesn't actually know that she's not supposed to blurt out stuff. So what happens here is that after a while, as the fates are always punishing her, she's really fed up with her punishment, and she decides that she's going to turn herself into a proper horse. And that's what's happening. She forgets to speak. She becomes a totally animal entity, and she never speaks again. And she lives with the other horses on Mount Pelion. And this usually denotes a karmic wound that is linked to knowledge and the fact that you're not supposed to tell your knowledge to others because it's dangerous. And a couple of us who are willing to say at large that the Russian-Ukrainian war is not what mainstream media wants us to believe, we do have this danger. We are carrying this danger because, of course, the whole world is now turning the Ukrainians into heroes and the Russians into villains. And what is happening is really shameful because in Germany, for instance, those truck drivers, Russian truck drivers, whose phone is not working, whose credit card is not working, and they don't get any food from the nice Germans because now the Germans think that Russians are the new Jews. So this is unacceptable, believe me. And I dare to say this loud against all mainstream ideas because I know what is going on. So even if I should stop doing this, but this is a very nice triple conjunction on the Neptune-Jupiter conjunction already. It's a nice balance that you have a centaur, an asteroid, and a fixed star because asteroids are denoting the personal karmic level. Fixed stars are higher dimensional worlds when you can go to for healing or for learning special traits. And centaurs are karmic wounds that you can turn into special traits or into phobias. So it's really, there's a nice balance here. Also on the Sun Pallas Athena conjunction, you find two more asteroids, Attila, okay, the fighter, the leader, the big king, and Aten, the sun disk. So there's a double illumination here. And on Aries, you have Gavin and Cerberus. Cerberus, who is the governor of, or the keeper of the gate of the underworld, who is the keeper of something sinister, if you think about it. And Gavin, of course, is the light in shining armor who might come and help us. And I left for the least this full conjunction to the North Node. And there are three very important centaurs and one asteroid. The asteroid is interesting because that's Phaeton, and Phaeton is one of the story of Phaeton is one of the stories of the cataclysm, describing how our world just got completely disrupted, and this is exactly what's happening to our world. The problem with those sanctions that either the UN or the European Committee or who is governed by idiots, the whole European, I don't know, you guys, you Englishmen did such a good thing to leave this whole monkey cage, believe me, because they are I mean, these people are cretins. And the sanctions that they are trying to impose and push on the Russians are really hurting Europe. Okay, and America is laughing at, I mean, the whole thing, which they actually try to impose upon us so that we oppose it on the Russians. And the Russians will be okay. They will do business with China and with other countries, and we are going to be left without gas and food. and watch my words. This is going to happen. Anyhow, so here we have Phaeton, which is disaster, and our world as we know it is going to get disrupted. And then you have Pelion, the mountain of life that we need to understand, that we need to cover, that we need to live in. Really, Mount Pelion is the place where those caves are, where the centaurs live. So it's the home actually, but also it's the mountain of life that you need to absorb and understand. And Mors Somnus is the pair of dream and death. They are brothers in Roman mythology. They live in a cave where it's a very deep and dark cave where the sunshine never gets there. And Mors Somnus is very important in all the charts that we try to look at for the pandemic. So with conjunct is the North Node, it may mean that there's another chance for this. I just don't want to elaborate this any further. And with Alicanto, the exact conjunction of the North Node and Alicanto is going to happen on the 13th of April. And I'm going to give you a whole video on Alicanto because I think it's quite important and quite relevant that we're going to have this conjunction now. Because Alicanto is a TNO with a very long, over 300-year orbit. So this is happening now, and we need to understand it now. Okay, that's it for the Neptune-Jupiter conjunction. As you can see in my background, I'm not in Europe. I'm enjoying the sea and the sun for a change, but I'm going to be back very soon for my usual chores. But I got very, very tired over the last couple of weeks. We had an election in Hungary that was very important for us. Luckily, the events and the results were what we were hoping and praying for. No, my dear friend, Hungary is not what mainstream media wants you to show. I dare you, come to Hungary, visit the country, travel extensively and see what we are, and make your own impression of our country, and you will be surprised. It's one of the best and most normal and nicest places in Europe. Happy Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. Thank you for listening. Bye.